Today, we're looking into how important it is to select a woman based upon your desire to offer her orally pleasure. And what that means is it's easy to look at women and, and find, you find attraction and visual attraction and whatnot, but it's got to be the right combination of being able to look at her and say, yes, I would want to do that for her. And the truth is, most women have similar vulvas, and so it's it's really more about the person. It's like why are you choosing that person? Are you choosing them because you like them, or are you choosing them because you want to please them? If people are choosing each other because it's if they're choosing to share intimacy and take intimacy from each other and become attached to each other, then is it a good investment to be attached to somebody who is not committed to you, so you know that they'll be there for you in the hard times of life? That's why something like 90% of all relationships with significant other, boyfriend girlfriend, don't last, not to mention marriage. It's because it's it's not based upon mutually shared values, and it's also, it may be that the people haven't figured out what those values are, and they're, the each spouse, it's not that they're, and they may have not studied marriage either. This is also an element that we need to include, but I really want to put emphasis on the fact that a principled man will always be not not will always be able to say no to a woman, like, unless she is his spouse. Like, he'll never have to, and also he has to engage in self intimacy daily, because that keeps the that keeps that desire, that puts that desire back in his control, in his hands, so to speak. And so I'm gonna basically, women think the best way to get a man uh, is by perhaps enhancing their body with and makeup and everything. But the best way to find a husband, there's a difference between the approach. The best way to find a husband is to first of all, find men to protect her, and so she can keep herself safe, and help her select someone, because women should realize that they're more emotionally oriented, and they're also more oriented around the opinions of, what other women are kind of sensing in the moment, and so these are unreliable information. I mean, you just see how it leads to all the single mothers out there, but basically, you, you know men aren't being honest with themselves in wanting a virgin woman. And of course, it requires that it requires that men also be virgin, in order for women to be virgins, because people always say that, well, you need to have experience, and I've experienced to know who to avoid, the bad person. Like, why can't you learn from other bad experiences people have had? We've already gone through it, guys. We're not going to be repeating the same mistakes. So, men don't actually want a woman who's sexually experienced, quote unquote, so she'll satisfy him more. He would rather teach her things. And the same thing is with her. Like, she can teach him things. They can both be virgins. And the reality is, people will say that, they disagree, but then a counter argument would be, have they ever even considered it? Because some of this stuff is unfamiliar to people. And what's also unfamiliar is that it's like, what motivates us to keep going in life. For me, it's that I know that I'm going in the direction of a spouse, and even if I never make it in this lifetime, I'm taking the steps that it takes to go in that direction, and so I'm creating a culture of it. So my ideas will influence other people to to be able to get this, positive result of a happy marriage. And so let's see, looking into my notes here. Also a caution as to how women choose dogs, because they like how the dog licks them, and they like, but the dog's also licking urine and feces, and it's not a human, but it's a sexual act. And why not watch children instead of sit for dogs? And we should train kids the same way people train dogs. There does have to be some physical punishment as necessary, or strong. It's easier to do physical punishment, even little things like pinches. When you have a young child, it's easier to physically manage them, and that's why they should be taught at that young age to be socially acclimated. And the same goes with treating humans like you treat pets, because they say it's humane to put a dog down when it's suffering, or beyond physical comfort in poor health. And so why can't we do that with people as well? Part of my trajectory is this: stop fearing death, because we need to be willing to let go of these bodies when they no longer serve us. And in an extreme case, we need to, I don't want to be specific, but let's say for some reason your spouse was to cheat on you. You can't be afraid of death and letting go of your body, or, because the thing is it's like, how strong of an attachment do you want to make is really the question here about marriage. It's like, how strong of a commitment do you want? And you can ask people who are boyfriend, girlfriend, if they really love the person, and then that can get a conversation going. How do you define love? The truth is that when people are unwilling to talk about things, like they're unwilling to openly argue with me or debate against marriage in things like platforms like Facebook, I've had these arguments. You know that something's wrong when you're hiding it or ashamed to talk about it. So, for example, if you're being lazy, you need to say out loud to yourself, "I'm being lazy, and I don't like it. You can, because it's the verbal acknowledgement that brings something into reality, and it's like it makes it so you can see it more clearly somehow. And so moving on, a question which I have you a little challenge to look into the current lifestyle that you're living and ask yourself how long that you'd be willing to continue living that lifestyle. And you, for example, like how long would you be willing to continue being with this boyfriend, girlfriend, or even fiance? It's another meaningless term, because all that matters is you're either not married or married. You're either a single person or you're married. And so I'm challenging you to say, how long will you let this last, and how long will it take before you find out, if this is true love or you're going to get married? Like, it's people not putting deadlines and boundaries and expectations on others that makes their life just end up getting run by their sexual desires or passing emotions or other people's social or cultural influence. But then it's not really them living their life. They're just a robot or a sheep, right? So, and I also viewed this interesting video. Check this video out. Okay, hold on. Check this video out. Here.
More so live in the moment and kind of live that dope life, as I call it, to build a life you're extremely proud of. And so that way you're not dependent on a specific outcome to take place with a woman, okay? And if you notice, that's the general theme of all of my content.
So I want to make a point about this guy just off the get-go. To me, he seems like he's in some ways effeminate, like he's trying to be like super groomed and like and talk in this low kind of smooth voice. It just seems effeminate to me, and that already I don't like. Like, talk to when you talk like a man, you know what I mean? Don't put on this facade
As a whole, but it's just to have a little bit more pep in your step, a little more swag, and clearly to have more options. They call it bell to bell in sales, and so you'd be. Look, I'm not going to go into everything right now, but there's a lot that I did that is crazy. Maybe one day I'll share poison in my body, because that's what alcohol is. Okay, I mean,
so
there's no.
This guy actually ends up sharing something. I want to.
There's no judgment.
I want to show you guys something. Let's see here. Hold on. This is important. Just take it. I know this is here. Just bear with me, please. If you want to do some deep breathing. Let's see. Oh, here we go. Is this? No. It's here. I'm telling you guys, it's here. Oh, here we go.
Boy, Boy,
So
oh
this is
boy.
the video I
I
want.
just filmed a dynamite video for you guys.
This is the one I'd like you guys to watch. It talks about how women will cheat, and the truth is, the reason people cheat is because they they're not really a VSPAL, a value interest equal partner spouse for life is an acronym I've created. They're not truly a loving husband and wife in the foundation of love, in the foundation of everything. So and there are instances in which women can get easily seduced, which is more reason for, it's all about the culture that we live in. Like, do we live in a culture that encourages us and reminds each other every day to work towards your spouse, to not try to seduce other people, to not pursue premarital intimacy because it's unloving and it's more lust based. It's not in the frequency of love, it's in the frequency of seduction. But this video here is revealing.
No sound. At the bar, and she's blowing me in the car, and then she wants to see me 2 days later. Again, I'm not going. 10 minutes later, we're tongue. Oh, I heard you just got married. How's that going? 10 minutes later, we're tongue kissing at the bar, and she's blowing me in the car, and then she wants to see me 2 days later. Again, I'm not proud to tell you this, but I have to tell you this, okay? These women were in love with their husbands, but they were in lust with me. Okay, so you gotta know the difference. And ladies, don't get on your high horse and become all righteous either, because there's men out there that have options, and they're going through the same dilemma. They love you.
So all this simmered down to the fact that men and women are not worshiping the VVF flower, the vulva. They're not making that the number one priority. They're making their PPS, or they're making other surrounding circumstances, or women's breasts, whatever it is. They're making that the emphasis, but the emphasis always has to be on the woman, and it always has to be about keeping that sacred and treating it as sacred. Throughout their lives, women may only want to have sexual intimacy, maybe, or sexual intercourse specifically, only a couple times a week, but it should be every day that the man be willing to provide her with oral, and to massage her, and just should be worshipped. It should be an experience where we're worshiping we're like enjoying the human experience. It's like people make all these arguments, but the reality is, well, what do you think is optimal? I mean, don't you think marriage is optimal? And then people might say, well, it's just about the government or money. Well, that is very useful, because that's another way of proving that you do love each other, is that you trust each other with all your money, and you trust each other with like the passwords to your whatever accounts, social media accounts, with all of that. And this isn't to say that you shouldn't have set aside emergency funds that your spouse doesn't know about, but the point is that part of the problem is this guy, like the circumstances in which he was seducing married women, or married women, trying to find him, is probably an alcohol-infused environment. So, you need to be with a strong woman. You need to be with a discerning woman who is mature, careful, and she seems like she would be, a good mother and a good wife, and all of that. And so people make more selective decisions when it's based upon a short-term versus long-term, right? And so but the thing is, it's going to influence your whole life. Like all these kinds of characters, these people like Andrew Tate and Fresh and Fit and so on. They don't they're they're going to be alone when they're older, if they're you know if they're not careful, because they're not making it about one woman. They're not making it about family, and it's not about, you shouldn't ever have any expectations or forcing upon your biological children. You should want them to choose voluntarily to be you want to be in your life as an adult. But the point is that you're raising children, and you're contributing to society by raising children, and then the good karma of that can lead to other people, maybe younger people, helping you when you're older, even if it's not your biological children. But the point is you're investing in a sustainable way of living as human beings. And I think I think I think I've covered everything I would like to. Women suggesting that a career is more important than being a mother and a wife and a teacher to young children. This is not just about women having children, or that they have to have children. This is about, even if they don't have children, that their husbands, that their life not be oriented around trying to be as fancy as possible and buy the nice car and new vacation. And it's not even a nice car. It's like the only thing that's nice is a woman's vulva. That's what people should continuously be thinking about, including women, about celebrating who they are and pleasuring themselves and in preparation for their husband. But the thing I'm trying to imply here is that uh, is that the idea that women think their career is more important. The problem with that is that women, I think the most helpful thing they can do is rely on their husband's support, so that they can teach the future generations the values that they want to instill, not work two jobs and then pay the government to teach your children. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying that I'm anti school. There's obviously some fun things about school, especially if you make it gender separate, so that it becomes more about the sports and the camaraderie and the academic environment of either an all male or all female school. And also, it needs to be said that people are adults once they hit puberty. They have these desires, and the desires will damage them if they're not treated as adults. So they should be talked to a little more formally, like not as like as a parent. You don't want to ever. First of all, you should be talking to each other on a first name basis, and labeling each other guardian and guardian client is the terms I like to use. These other terms of endearment are abstract, and they're very trapping, because they make people feel like they need to be close to their children and parent. But it's really, it should be more of a professional relationship in which you're teaching the children, and you have a contract to teach them, and when they're adults, then they can choose voluntarily if they want to follow the same values that you have. But there's this heavy attachment and very hierarchical, dominant, submissive energy that most people create, which I'm averse to in parent-child relations. It should be more about being just a professional thing, where okay, if you want to be under my roof and eat my food, then you need to follow these certain protocols and do these certain things. Okay, so So the bottom line is, if women are not willing to choose, and thank you, Mr. or Mrs. One Viewer, it's probably a Mr. Uh, if women are not willing to choose a man, and women are saying stuff like, oh, they think, they don't like marriage, and they don't want to have a man's last name. All it means is they haven't found a trustworthy, worthwhile man able to do that. And the reality is, a lot of these men have disappeared because they are no longer men of principles and religiously oriented men who have communal connection in religion or spiritual realities. And I can see why, because of all the hierarchy and false information and, right on, Fallacious. That's cool. Yeah, you might want to watch this stream from the beginning, Fallacious, because I'm about to finish, but it was a good, quick half an hour. But I will say this: let's do a quick light work session while you're waiting, and as a conclusory note. So, imagine whatever difficulty you're facing right now, and I'm doing the same. Maybe it's a person at work. Maybe it's you don't know what to do at work. Maybe it's this person in your personal life. Imagine them smiling. Okay, start off with a person. Imagine them smiling. Maybe somebody owes you money. Imagine them smiling, okay, and imagine the light streaming down on them. Brilliant white light, as if you're an angel flying by, shining on them. The thing is the mind thinks in imagery, and this idea of law of attraction, it has to do with the imagery of the mind and what it's programmed with, and what it's attracting to it with that programming. Thanks, Fallacious. So what you do is you imagine them smiling, then you beam them with brilliant white light, and then this is what you want in your life, in theory. And it's not about them. You might want to never see them again. It might be useful not to see them, but you can apply this light work visualization to any and all situations. You just blast them. Let's say you maybe had a problem with your vehicle. Blast the vehicle with pure white light streaming through like a laser beam, and just transcendentally putting ourselves in a place of who we are. We are that light. We need to bring ourselves, that light, into this human vessel. We need to bring that conscious unified field of white light and universal interconnected oneness. We need to do something to make it, to welcome it into our life. We gave ourselves free will. We gave ourselves free will to choose to be, destructive and neglect the light and the brilliance and the inexplicable creative force that is who we are. We are a changing creative force, and we will even if people don't even if humanity fails, you get what you give. You get what you give. Yeah, you also get the frequency that you're at. So it's you get what you give, but you're getting it's the frequency of like that loving, the feeling that you get when you're giving. That's the energy that you're at. And also, don't expect anything in return, especially if it's charitable stuff, because the problem with expecting a return is that means you couldn't really afford to be charitable. So don't be charitable if you can't afford to. That's fine, but do give what you Is it 5%? Is it 10%? Maybe you give to maybe you're in your taxes from the government. Then the government reallocates that. Whew. Whatever the case is, guys, I'm telling you, if there's nothing else that you get out of this, it's that even if we go into nuclear war, even if we destroy civilization, and we can, and we not only can, we will reincarnate elsewhere in another life form, in on another planet. So going forward with that, imagining, maybe let's go sky high into space for a moment. Imagine we're looking down on the Earth, and imagine we're seeing streams of light just cycling, coming through, beaming through buildings. Imagining people smiling in different countries of the world. Imagine them smiling, and you are like an angel. You're flying through the sky. You're shining light. You're shining light on, say, wherever the Israeli conflict. Imagine them. Hey, Baba, pleasure to see you. Imagine you're seeing them, people in Israel like lower their weapons and unite in the name of human interests and joy. Baba, good to see you, man. Baba, I must suggest here that I've created a live stream already. You'll probably want to watch it from the beginning. But do you have any immediate pressing issues you'd like to bring up that you think would be worth me looking at? Like, how I like to talk about marriage, relationship psychology and everything. Is there anything I can do for you, Baba, before I go? And then Fallacious as well. Enjoy work. It's like 4 o'clock in the morning here in Hawaii, and I showed up. I took a nap, and I got up, and I did this. It wasn't effortless for me to do this. This is each of these live streams. It's a result of perhaps 2 days of researching on YouTube, trying to refine my ideas, writing down notes. This is a lot. Here for the vibes, got it. All right, Fallacious. All right, Baba. I'm gonna say aloha from here in the Hawaiian Islands, and shieldheart.org. If there's any looking more into all that stuff, but you guys, I actually am pleased with my live stream here. I started off. I've got some edgy stuff in it, so if you watch from the beginning, I think you'll get a lot out of it. But take care. Till next time.